It really feels like he's here, and a lot of people have made comments of like, your husband's more involved than my husband who's out here. And it means a lot because he really does try a lot.
Welcome to More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend. I'm your host, Jay, and we have a special episode for you today. But before we get into the special episode, AJ and I have a very, very, very exciting project that we are releasing, and we want to tell you about it. Basically, we were looking at how we could expand the More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend brand, and we have been working for quite some time. I've been working very, very hard on it to develop a gift catalog that is specifically designed for couples where the man is incarcerated. So it is a catalog that will be sent to men in prison, and it is filled with gift ideas for them to send gifts to their loved ones. We are a small business. This is a huge deal. We've been working very hard. I have been working so hard on this, and I'm so excited to release it. AJ's very excited to release it as well. And we need your help in spreading the word. So the catalog's not always going to be free. However, we currently have a coupon code to make it free. It is available through the website, www.morethaninmate'sgirlfriend.com. You click on buy it and use the coupon code J and AJ. So JAEANDAJ. And that will eliminate the price. Now, if you want to pay for the catalog, you can do that too. But for the first couple hundred, we are going to be sending those catalogs free to your loved ones so they can check it out, share it with their friends, have a look-see. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to reach out to us about it. So again, it's the More Than an Inmate's Girlfriend gift catalog. It's available to pre-order right now at www.morethaninmate'sgirlfriend.com with the coupon code J and AJ, JAEANDAJ, all capitals, and that will eliminate the price. So you can just enter in the shipping info and your name and email, and we will let you know when we ship them out. So very, very exciting for the new year, and I really hope that this helps connect loved ones. It is more affordable than what they are currently offering from our research. And we have different levels of gift giving. So if they want to send something that's $10 just to tell you that they love you, versus they want to send something that's $400 to tell you that they love you, we can help cater that. So yeah, very, very exciting. Back to the episode. Also very exciting. This episode, so as someone who doesn't have children myself, but has had a rocky relationship, specifically with my father, hearing this episode and what Julia and her husband have done to ensure he is around for their daughter is so touching. And anybody who has a child whose father is incarcerated, I highly recommend listen to this episode, because what she's doing is incredible. What he is doing is incredible. And how they share that experience to help others see how important it is for children to feel like their parents care about them. And what he's doing to make sure that his daughter knows is just so beautiful. Like, it really is. There's no other words to describe it. I can't wait for you guys to listen. And side note, Julia is going to be a part of the catalog. So yay. When you're supporting us, you'll also be supporting Julia. So, and I feel like it's the perfect person to test out utilizing other people's products with, just because if anyone deserves it, it's her and him, and they do so much to try and help the community and try and help the people around them, that I'm just really grateful that we've met her and that we get to help spread her small business a little bit through the catalog. So yeah, with that, I'm going to let it go and let you enjoy the episode of Julia speaking about how to be a father and how to be a good father while you're incarcerated. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, bye. Welcome, Julia. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
I'm really excited to get into the topic that we're going to talk about. But before we get to learn more about your husband, can you just talk a little bit about what your life was like growing up so that the audience can get a sense of what you came from and how you grew up?
Yeah, of course. So growing up, I was raised by a single mom. I had me and then my two younger brothers. But before my parents got divorced, I grew up in a really abusive household. So a lot of domestic violence between my mom and my dad. And that happened for a really long time. It was the severe domestic violence story that you hear of the cops coming and taking the kids and the mom. And that happened a lot. I remember us having to go to hotel rooms with the police, or being 5 years old and my mom being at work and having to call the cops because my dad was trying to hit us. It was a lot. That's how I grew up. And then once my parents got divorced, my mom struggled a lot financially being a single mom. She was working 2 jobs and then she tried to go back to school, and it was hard. I remember there was times our light bill was shut off and the lights weren't on and the heat wasn't on, and it would be during the winter. And there was so many times the water bill was shut off, and so we couldn't take showers or use the bathroom. And it was just really hard. I grew up going to the food bank, and it was a really hard way to grow up. But my mom did try to make it work. Thankfully, I was able to go to a Catholic school because my mom got scholarships for us.
Wow.
And so I went to a Catholic school from preschool to 8th grade. But we just grew up really poor. I always wanted nice things, and we never had them. And my mom was struggling, and she was never home.
Yeah.
And then my grandma came to help her raise us because my mom needed help. She was working 2 jobs. She was always gone. And yeah, it was really hard growing up like that.
And would you say it built your independence?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. And I think it really built this idea in my head that I wanted more. I just didn't know what more was because I didn't see it.
Right.
And I just remember growing up in a Catholic school, and your class size is so small. You see other kids and they have 2 parents in the household. They have nice cars. They have nice clothes. They have these big, beautiful houses. And then I go home and I'm like, okay, our water shut off, and I don't have nice things. I don't have Nikes. I don't have all these nice clothes. But I think growing up like that, it made me want more for myself. I just didn't know necessarily what that looked like yet.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you for setting the stage. So obviously you meet your husband at some point. What was it like? How did you guys meet?
Yeah, so we met when we were 17. We met at an acquaintance's house that we both knew. That's when our story started. And we definitely had a lot of ups and downs when we were younger. We were very toxic. We were so toxic that when I got pregnant, I moved to a different state because he got locked up. And I was like, I'm not doing this. So we definitely went through that phase when we were younger.
And obviously you were young when you got pregnant.
Yeah.
What was that like, finding out you were pregnant? That must have been crazy.
So I was 19 when I found out we were pregnant, and I just remember I was so scared. Growing up the way that I did, I didn't know if I ever wanted a kid because I was I want to be able to be a good mom. You know what I mean? I want to be able to be what I didn't have. And I just remember I was freaking terrified. I didn't find out I was pregnant probably until 2 months into it. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm pregnant. And I found out and I was just like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We have to take care of a baby. And I was freaking out because when you're 19 and I didn't have a job, I didn't go to school yet, I didn't have a college degree. I was like, how are we going to take care of this kid?
And what did he say?
He was excited. I was freaking out. He was more of everything's going to be okay. We got this. And I'm like, okay, you're not the one carrying the baby, but okay. But I was definitely the one that was super afraid, super scared. But I think that was more, I didn't know if I was going to be able to be a good mom. Yeah. That's what I was afraid of. I just wanted to be in a good place to take care of a baby.
And did you ever have concerns that he might not be a good dad at that point?
No, I knew he was going to be an amazing dad. I knew that I was grateful and blessed to have a baby with my husband, and I knew he was going to be an amazing dad, and he was just so excited, and I was like, okay, yay, we're excited. We're going to have a baby.
Oh, gosh, that's terrifying. So you mentioned that you moved away at one point. So was that your first experience with him being incarcerated when you moved states?
Yeah, so shortly after I found out I was pregnant, a couple months later, he got arrested, and I was like, okay, I'm leaving. I need to figure things out. I was 19, scared, really upset because I'm about to have a baby and I'm out here alone now and I need to figure this out. So I moved and I lived with my dad for a little bit to get on my feet and have my daughter and figure things out. And then shortly after, I moved back and I was like, okay, my husband's in jail and he's going to be going to prison. I want to make it work still.
And how did he feel this whole time when you left him?
I just remember he was really upset, really hurt, but he also understood that I was upset and I was hurt. He just was understanding of why I moved and why I needed to take care of our baby and stuff like that. But then when I finally got established, he was just like, please come home, please. Aww. And I was like, okay, I will.
And was he involved in the birth?
Unfortunately, he wasn't able to because he was in jail, and this was before the tablets came out. So this was like when we were doing handwritten letters and we just had phone calls and in-person visitations, so there wasn't the tablets or anything like that. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to really be a part of it the way that I wanted him to be.
Yeah, that's okay. We do what we can, right?
Yeah.
And is that under his current incarceration?
No, this was the first time. Yeah, this was the first time.
So he got out when she was how old?
This was in 2021, so she was 6.
That was the first time he came out?
Yeah, he came out when she was 6 years old, because she's 9 right now, yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So when you moved states, did you leave him? Were you guys broken up, or were you just like, I need space and I need to figure out?
No, yeah, we were still together. We were still communicating and still together.
Okay. Did you think about leaving him?
No, I never thought about leaving him.
So he never really gave you any reason to leave. You had talked previously about he really kept these two lives separate.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit more about that? He had his street life and he had his family life.
Yeah, he really did keep those completely separate. I wasn't oblivious to what was happening. I grew up understanding that lifestyle, so I knew what was going on. When you see nice cars and you have nice clothes and all these things, you're not stupid. I knew what was going on, and from the moment I met my husband, I knew that he struggled with addiction issues. Okay. But I was really blessed to where it was never brought in the home. It was never brought around me. I was never projected to any of it, and neither was our daughter. I always tell people, I never even saw my husband smoke a cigarette. I've seen him hold a pack of cigarettes and buy a pack of cigarettes, but I've never seen him drink. I've never seen him do drugs. I've never seen him do anything. Wow. I remember the first time, one time he was home and I saw a gun and I was like, oh my God, this is in my home.
Oh my.
But that was the only thing. And he felt terrible for that. But he really did protect us. He really did. And I'm grateful for that because I've heard so many stories of people where their spouse didn't protect them from it and projected them to a lot of things that they shouldn't have been, or like the kids. And I was really blessed. It did cause a lot of emotions in me, though, for being separated from it, just because he wasn't home.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But now looking back at it, I really appreciate that because I feel like it could have dragged me down a lot, too.
Yeah. So you knew he was making poor choices, but he just kept it very separate from you. Did you guys talk about it?
Really, more in the sense of like me trying to help him because I knew he was struggling, or begging him to come home, or trying to talk to him and get him to understand like, hey, you're struggling. Mm-hmm. But it was never necessarily about the specific choices he was making. It was more of just me trying to be like, please let me help you.
Right. Did he ever come home high?
No, it was usually like, I guess, more normal, I guess I would say. Normal, I guess someone can be in active addiction, but he never came over like super
strung out
on something. Yeah.
And side note, I dated someone who was in active addiction as well. And I had to ask him straight up when he would come home sometimes because I couldn't tell. He could hide it from me, no problem. Yeah, my husband was like the same way. I was in such denial because he doesn't seem like he's using, everything's fine. And then one day I went through his phone and I was like, okay, this is confirmation of everything he's doing, right? Like he's actively using, and it broke my heart. And that's when I was like, please let me help you. Wow, that's sad.
Yeah.
So through this whole time, his role as a father, more specifically, what was it? How was he as a father to your daughter?
During the times of his active addiction, he still always showed up the best he could as a father and a husband. Obviously, things weren't perfect. And I always tell people that because whenever you have a relationship, I feel like with someone in active addiction, things aren't going to be perfect, right? Like, because when people are using, they don't always answer the phone or they don't always communicate or they can disappear for a couple days. And those types of behaviors happen when people are struggling. But he always did show up for our daughter and would come see her or communicate with her and try to be the best dad he could be.
So he got out when she was 6. And then when did he go back?
He went back a year later, so 7.5. Yeah.
What was that like for your daughter? Do you remember?
I vaguely remember it was nice because we got to see him all the time and everything, but then he started having struggles. But I think at first it was like an adjustment for our daughter because the first time she got to hug her dad was in a visit room.
Yeah.
And so it was a huge adjustment for her to be like, oh, dad's home now, right?
Yeah.
He's physically here and not just in the visit room.
Yeah. And he got taken away again.
Yeah.
And do you remember that day?
I remember it a little bit. I remember I got a phone call from a coworker at the time, and she was like, hey, I think something happened. I just drove past somewhere, and I was trying to get a hold of my husband that day. And I just had this gut feeling that something was about to happen when I started getting worried. And then I found out something happened, and they were looking for him. And then I remember the day they found him, I got a phone call, and I was texting him maybe an hour before he got arrested. And I just remember telling him, I love you. God's got you. Everything's going to be okay. And he was like, you promise? And I was like, yeah. And then an hour later, he gets arrested. And I remember getting that phone call. I was so relieved, but it was so traumatizing at the same time because it was just heartbreaking. I just remember being so scared for them to arrest him again, and then getting that phone call, I was like, oh my gosh, they found him.
Yeah. Did you know how much time he'd be looking at this time?
Not really, because I didn't know a lot of what was happening. I had the detectives talk to me and everything, and I went through that whole situation and our apartment being watched and all that type of stuff by the detectives, but I didn't really know what was going to happen yet until we started going to court.
And that's when you found out the extent
of
what was going to happen. And when you told your daughter, did you tell her straight up he had been arrested? Did she understand?
Yeah, a little bit. We didn't really tell her like, hey, dad's back in jail necessarily. It was more of just like, hey, daddy's on the phone, and she just understood.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And when this was all happening, what were you thinking when it came to your daughter?
I'm not going to lie, it was a really traumatizing time having him get arrested again, because when you go through having your husband get arrested at a young age and having a baby and then watching your daughter have a relationship with her dad in a visit room and then come home and have that taken away again, it's heartbreaking. When it put me through a really severe depression for an entire year, it was really hard because the way that I saw my life was supposed to be, because when anyone has a loved one incarcerated, I feel like they don't always talk about what happens if someone comes home and it fails and they struggle again. And unfortunately, it does happen, right? People do come home and unfortunately have struggles again. And sometimes these struggles lead them into bigger situations than they did before. And I just didn't think that was going to be our story. And then when it happened, it was so traumatizing, and my heart broke for me and it broke for my daughter, because now we have to do it again, right? She's got to see her dad in a visit room again, and video chats now and phone calls. And it really broke my heart because I didn't see that being our story when he came home.
That makes me so sad, because I think that the quote, I didn't think it was going to be my story, is what everybody says. And nobody wants to believe that it's a very big possibility that it is. Especially when it comes to addiction, right?
Yeah, because addiction can happen at any time, and I think that's what people fail to understand is it doesn't mean the person didn't love their family or didn't want to be home or didn't want to not go to prison again. And it's like, no, my husband loves me and our daughter enough that he kept us away from all of it. It had nothing to do with his willpower, nothing, but it's like, I think it's a good reminder for people to understand if you get out of prison and you go back into those environments or talk to those people, even if you think that it's not a big deal, it slowly starts to turn into this snowball effect and you're back into that.
It makes me so sad thinking about the whole situation, because he made such a point to keep you guys safe from it. which to me shows partially how ashamed he is about it, but
Yeah.
also how much he values you guys, that he
Yeah.
wouldn't risk anything to try
Yeah.
and hurt you. But unfortunately, incarceration bleeds into the family.
Yeah. Well, and even when he was in prison, he was doing a lot to show how much growth he was making. We were doing family programs. We were doing church marriage seminars. He was doing dad programs. He was taking all these classes. He was really, really trying for as much as he could.
Oh, I can imagine you going into a depression after all that. Now that he's been in again for a couple years now, or a little over a year, what ways has he tried to be a part of your daughter's life on a day-to-day basis?
So honestly, it feels like he's home. And that is a huge point that we made when this time of incarceration happened again, just because of how much time he was looking at. And because I feel like the first way that we handled his incarceration wasn't the best. Like, there was such a huge separation of our lives. And I feel like that didn't really help the situation as much, even though nothing was wrong. It just wasn't how we wanted to handle this time. And so what I told him this time was, I want us to really stay connected because of the time and because of our daughter needing you right now. And she's getting older. And we both made that a priority. And he was like, agreed, I want to do it too. And so he's super involved, whether it's helping her with homework or being on a video chat while she's eating dinner, or coming to school conferences or doctor's appointments or her basketball, just everything. He's really involved, watching her at kickboxing, disciplining her. It really feels like he's here. And a lot of people have made comments of like, your husband's more involved than my husband who's out here. And it means a lot because he really does try a lot.
Yeah. Do you have scheduled times when he calls to make that easier?
Not right now. We're just like on the phone all the time.
Are
So because we have that time right now, even though when he starts going to classes and stuff, that's going to obviously change because he'll be busy.
Okay.
But right now, because we have all this time, we're trying to really utilize it to build our foundation and work on our small business, prioritize parenting, and really take advantage of the time while we have it, because we know it's not going to last forever. We're not going to have all this time to talk in the next probably year.
Does he have unlimited time right now on the phone?
Yeah. So he can talk from the moment the phone turns on until 10 o'clock at night.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so we talk when he wakes up, and then people will be like, oh, are you guys talking that entire time? And I'm like, no, I'll do homework, and he'll be reading a book or reading his court transcripts or working on something. We just want to be on the phone together because he has all this time, and I don't get to have my husband home, so this is like the closest we can have to make it work.
Yeah. I remember you telling me a story about when he disciplines her and she like stomps away from
Yeah. Yeah, it's so funny. She gets so frustrated, but she also respects him so much that she won't go far. And she'll walk away for a second, and then he'll be like, come back here. And she's like, what? And she comes back. And it's so funny because it feels like he's home. You know what I mean? Like, the way that it is. And she'll get frustrated with him, and then she'll come back. And she's like, I'm sorry. Can I try again?
Oh.
And it's so cute.
Was he this involved when he was home?
Yeah. He had his addiction issues, obviously, but he was still like the same type of dad he was then, the way he is now.
So they always had that kind of bond.
Yeah.
That he's just working really hard to maintain.
Yeah. They've definitely gotten closer, though. I would say that. They've definitely gotten a lot closer.
Really?
But they've always had this bond. I always say they're closer than me and her.
Really?
And I'm like the odd one out. Because they're always like, you're my twin. And he's like, you're my twin. And they're like, yeah, and then there's mommy. And I'm like, yep, then there's mommy.
Just over here on the side.
Yeah, I'm just over here.
So he taught her how to ride a bike?
Yeah.
How did he do that?
So that was really cool. So she's 9 years old, and she's never rode a bike. And like, for the moms that are parenting with their loved one away, they're probably going to understand that it's really hard to maintain everything.
Yeah.
When you're trying to take care of the home, and if you're going to school, or if you're working, and all of this stuff, it's sometimes hard to do those small things I think people take for granted when they have their partner home. And so I always wanted her to learn how to ride a bike, but I haven't had the time, right, because of everything we have going on. And so one day he was like, let's buy her a bike. And I'm like, I don't even know how to ride a bike. I don't know how I'm going to teach her. And he was like, I'll teach her. And I'm like, okay. So we bought her a bike, and I remember we went to Walmart one day, and she was so excited, and he was like, pick out your bike, and she was like, okay. She picked it out, and it took us maybe 2 days on video chat, and he was on video chat for hours just teaching her, and we were just riding around the neighborhood.
Oh my gosh.
And yeah, he had her put her helmet on. She fell a couple times. He told her get back up, and he just kept telling her what to do. And the second day, she finally did it, and she rode like in a straight line and did a circle, and he started crying, and he was like, you did it. She was like, Daddy, you taught me how to ride a bike. You taught me how. And he was like, I know. And it was so, like, it's going to make me cry, too, because all his friends were watching, all encouraging him, and they were encouraging her, and they're like, there's my niece. And I was like, oh, my gosh. People locked up. They're like, your family's my family. But they were all, like, watching her, and they're like, good job. And she was getting all pumped up. And she's like, look, you guys, I can do circles. So it was really emotional. And then the next day after that, for a week straight in the summer, we just kept going to the park every day, and she was riding her bike.
Oh my gosh. That is so sweet.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking about it, watching all these grown men. First of all, she's on video with all these grown men cheering her on from prison.
But, I know, there was like a bunch of them behind the video chat, and they're like, good job. They're all watching her. And it was so funny.
And it was probably such a nice moment for all of them to see what's possible too.
Yeah, and it's encouraged. He's been able to help a lot of men in there change their lives a little bit, but also try to remain in contact with their kids. Because he runs into a lot of guys who are, my husband will be like, aren't you going to call your kid? And he'll be like, nah, man, like, they don't want to talk to me. They don't want anything to do with me. And my husband will be like, no, try though. You know what I mean? Try.
Yeah.
And so now these guys are like trying to call their kids, even if the kids don't answer. Like,
so nice.
Kids eventually will see that their parent is trying, even if they're upset, even if a kid is upset, they want their parent. And so seeing that effort can mean a lot. And who knows, maybe the 10th time the dad calls, the kid finally answers.
Yeah, because I know a lot of my husband's friends have recently been released, and some of them are like, oh, I called my kid and he's not answering. And it's like, well, how many times did you call him when you were incarcerated? So he's not answering now that you're out, but he doesn't know you.
Yeah.
And I know that mothers' relationships can be difficult sometimes, especially when they're not together. But it really, as someone whose parents, myself, have split up, it makes a big difference when the parent makes an effort. Your kid knows, you know?
Yeah. It definitely does, because I remember being a kid and my dad had addiction issues, and I just remember wanting the effort, and I never really got it.
Yeah.
And so even though I probably wouldn't have answered my dad's calls, just having the effort probably would have made me feel a lot better. And that's why my husband always tells people, you can still stay connected to your kid. I remember one time we went and watched the new Lilo and Stitch movie, and my husband was on video chat with us the entire time. Yeah, and it was such an emotional thing because he had a friend at the time who got sentenced to 25 years. And he was a really great guy. He was the reason that my husband started to believe in God. I tried to push my husband to it a little bit, but this guy really, him and my husband started reading the Bible together, and it was a beautiful moment, a really good friendship he made. And so I remember one time I told my husband, let's go watch Lilo and Stitch. And I was like, why don't you ask him if he wants to watch it? Because the guy just got sentenced, and he had no family, no loved ones, nothing. And he was a good dude, though, right? Yeah. And so we let him watch it with us, and my husband and him got snacks, and they were sitting at the video chat, and my husband was having to call back every 30 minutes. And I remember after it, the guy started crying, and he goes, that's the last time I'm ever going to see a movie in the theater. Thank you. And he was like, thank you to your family for letting me be a part of that. And it was just those small moments that I feel like people take for granted that we make normal. Yeah. Those are small things that people can try to do with their kids.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
I think you hit it right on the head right there. Because I've noticed the same thing, that it's the smallest acts that you can do. Like, this meant nothing to you to share the screen. You know, he was going anyway. But so many people that are incarcerated have such bad histories that led them down the path to that. So to show that kind of kindness probably would have changed his year. It might completely change his path, and it might help other people and make someone feel something they haven't felt in years. That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So sweet.
I know, and it really, like the small things that we do, like every Wednesday they eat Takis together, or we eat meals together, or read books and do face masks together. And it helps a lot of people in there because sometimes we'll invite people to do it with us. It's really helped people, especially people who maybe their kids don't answer anymore, right? Like we had another guy who he did face masks with us one night and he sat on his bunk and he started crying though.
Yeah.
And he sat there and he had a conversation with my husband and was like, I miss my kids, man. I messed up.
Yeah.
And it made this guy have that realization, and now that guy's in treatment. And he's going to try to be a part of his kid's life. It made him see that there was hope and that he could repair those relationships.
Wow. The impact you guys are having is probably incredible.
Yeah.
Wow. That must also make your husband feel so good to be able to share that.
It definitely does, because we've tried to use this experience to not, like, I feel like a lot of people when their loved one gets incarcerated, especially if they're looking at a long time, it can make or break a couple and break an individual. But we've been trying to use this as an experience to make us better and find reason in it, purpose in it, and not allow it to break us. And unfortunately, my husband will even say that this was the experience that happened that made him change his life. Unfortunately, it made him walk away from those types of individuals he was friends with. It made him want to really be around people who want to elevate too and be better. And it's definitely been that experience for us.
That's incredible.
And to help others.
So your daughter was diagnosed with a disability.
Yeah.
How have you been able to navigate that journey together while he is inside? Because that's unique.
Yeah, so she was diagnosed with autism. She's had some struggles since she was little, and we always noticed that. We knew that it was far more than normal tantrums and just certain behaviors.
Right.
And so we finally had her diagnosis, and we've been handling that together really well. He was there the entire time that she was having her appointment with the doctor. And he was on the phone and he was super engaged. And the doctor was like, Dad, do you have any concerns? And he was like, yeah. And he's talking to the doctor. And when we had the Zoom follow-up session, he was super involved and he was on the video chat. And that's when we got the diagnosis. And he's really on top of things that the doctor suggested. Like the doctor was like, let's make sure she's not having a lot of sugar intake and just all of these small things. And he's just very, very on top of it.
Wow.
And communicating with her therapist, making sure we're getting the appointments scheduled and everything.
And how do the medical professionals handle him being
Everyone's been super supportive. The doctor that we've seen for the diagnosis and everything, the autism specialist, she's so supportive and wants him to be involved. And her primary care physician is super supportive, wants him to be involved. Everyone's been super welcoming and encouraging of him asking questions and being on the phone call and having him know her medical plan and what support she needs so he can help and be supportive. So it's been really good, honestly, the way that they've treated us.
Honestly, I feel like you're also helping to change their minds about incarceration.
Yeah.
This is so tenfold what you guys are doing.
Yeah.
Notifying the school about it. What was your experience telling them that he was incarcerated?
Yeah, so we told the school at first when trial was happening, just in case she started struggling or anything. We just wanted her to feel supported. And the school was super supportive. Her therapist was really helpful. Everyone was just on board with making sure she felt as supported as she needed to. Even her therapist is reading a book with her right now of a little girl whose dad's incarcerated. So every time she has therapy, she comes home and she tells us, and she's like, Daddy, they have a favorite food too, you know, or Daddy, they write letters. And she's talking about it, and it's good because she's not at a place yet where she feels comfortable talking to her friends. Like her close friends know that her dad's incarcerated and like their parents know. But she's not in a place yet where she's like talking about it all the time with people.
Right.
But having that book has helped her feel like other kids could understand, you know? So it's been nice that her therapist is opening that door for her to have that conversation.
Yeah, that's really nice. Do you know the title of that book?
It's called From the Desk of Zoe.
Okay.
From the Desk of Zoe Washington.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
That'll be helpful for other parents.
Yeah, it's a really good book. It's a chapter book, I believe, but it's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you wish that teachers or medical professionals knew more about or understood more about families that are going through this?
I think I just wish that more teachers and professionals took away the stigma of people incarcerated, because I think there can be this stigma that people incarcerated are bad people, right? They've done bad things. And that's not always the case. You know, a lot of people incarcerated have a lot of struggles, whether it's mental health struggles or addiction issues. Because most people, if you ask them, and they have a loved one incarcerated, does your loved one struggle with addiction? Most of them are probably going to say yes.
Yeah.
And so I think taking away that stigma and understanding that these are still people, these are still someone's parents, these are still someone's loved one, and having that need for teachers and professionals to open that door of a sense of community for children to feel connected or to feel like they're not alone and they can have conversations about it at school or support for it. I think that definitely needs to start being talked about more.
I think you're right. And I think the best way is exactly what you guys are doing, because as you're speaking, I'm thinking about my medical appointments and the fact that I don't involve my husband in my appointments or anything that I have to do, because it's an awkward conversation to have with your doctor.
I was nervous at first because I don't know how they're going to act, right? Like, I don't know if they're going to be like, oh, no, we're not doing that, because I'm like, my husband's not a bad person, right? Like, he has struggles, but he's not a bad person. He's an amazing father and he's an amazing husband. And so I was nervous, but my husband's involved with everything. He still helps us do grocery shopping. He makes the grocery list. He's so involved where it feels like he's home. So it almost felt natural for him to be involved in those appointments. But at first it was kind of awkward because you don't know how the professional is going to act. But I try to think of it too, like, okay, well, if my husband was physically here, they wouldn't say anything. And if he was in a business meeting and I had to have him on the phone, they wouldn't say anything. So why should they say anything just because he's incarcerated? That's not right. Because if it was a different situation, they would be so encouraging.
Exactly. And in your situation, it worked out. There was no issues. So I think that we should all be encouraged to do what you're doing, really.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of parents should, not only for the dad to feel involved, but also for the kid to have that sense of my mom and dad are here.
Yeah. My mom and dad care. And the teacher not having to hide, teaching your kids early on that it's okay, it's not their fault, and it's okay to share that with the students and with the teachers. Wow, I love it. I can feel how much you love and respect your husband and everything that he does to be so involved. This whole experience, how has it strengthened your relationship with him and as co-parents?
So I think first, the whole situation this time, it's definitely made us a lot stronger. And honestly, it's what healed our marriage. And it's what I feel like, unfortunately, it's what needed to happen for us to get into the place that we're at today. And it's helped us learn how to communicate better. It's helped us, not that we didn't value our marriage at first, but I think this type of situation and the way that it has been now and everything that we've gone through, I think it's given us a deeper connection than we ever thought we'd have before, and a deeper respect and love for each other. And valuing each other a lot more than we ever thought could be possible. We'll even say it, I never thought that we could get closer, but here we are. It's definitely what shaped us to be where we're at today, and we're grateful, even though we're like, it sucks, it's terrible being away from each other. It's definitely not easy. There's days where we're bickering because we just want to be home with each other. We're bickering over the stupidest thing because I can't hear him well, or the tablet's acting up. And it's just those moments where I feel like people can relate, where those moments become big because we don't know how to communicate in the moment that we're hurting. But it's been that experience that's helped us be, I think, better parents, because the situation is so severe and heartbreaking that it's made us want to be the best parents that we can be. It's made us want to love our daughter so hard that she doesn't feel the void of it. Overall, it's been a terrible situation that's made such a beautiful outcome.
What would you say is the hardest part about parenting with him while he's incarcerated?
I think the hardest part is like not having him physically here. I think for me, what I always talk to my friends about, I have one friend that I became friends with on social media, and she has a loved one incarcerated. And like, I'm always telling her, like, in the morning, I'm like, it sucks. I'm so tired. I wish he was here to drop her off. I wish he was here to pick her up. And it's those small moments that I think people can take for granted for that. It's hard when you're parenting by yourself, right? Because it's like, I'm in school and I'm running our small business and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, and I'm really passionate about legislation and like all of these things. And there's moments where I lay in bed and I wish he was here to cook dinner. or I wish he was here to play with her, or I wish he was here to just watch a movie with her for a minute. I wish he was here to take her to go do something.
Yeah.
And he's not here. I always tell him, we need you home so bad. Don't ever feel like we don't.
This is not enough.
Yeah.
You need to actually try and come home.
Yeah.
I totally understand what you're saying, and I think a lot of people experience the same thing. I think it's also like you can't call him if something happens.
Yeah.
You have to wait for him to call. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, that's really hard. I remember one time we had our pipes bursted in our apartment, and this was a time where my husband was only allowed to call 2 hours a day. And I just remember I messaged one of his friends who was a trustee, and I messaged him and I was like, please tell the CO that I need my husband to call me. It's an emergency. And he went and told the CO, hey, he needs to call his wife. It's an emergency. And the CO thankfully let my husband call.
Oh, wow.
And I was just crying because there was water gushing out of our ceiling. And thankfully, the management and maintenance people were already on top of getting the water to stop. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to call. I don't have any family. I didn't know what to do. And I remember I told my husband, and he was like, everything's okay. He was like, here, my friend in here said to call his aunt. She can come and help you. They're good people. And I'm like, okay. Because my husband's like saying, my wife's pipes burst, and I hear this guy yell, have her call my aunt. She'll come and help right now. And this dude's aunt came within an hour.
No.
And it was crazy. She came and helped, and she talked to management, and she was like, she needs a hotel. You guys need to put her in one now. This is not okay. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this lady's helping. Like, thank you so much. And she was like, of course. And she was really, really there for us. But yeah, I remember that whole situation. I couldn't just call him, but thankfully I was able to find a way. But unfortunately, it doesn't always happen like that, right?
Yeah. Wow, you're so blessed that he has some good people around him too.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh, wow. Is there any other advice that you would want to give to other parents and partners trying to stay strong and connected through incarceration?
Yeah, I would honestly just say to be creative and find what works for your family. And I think the biggest thing too is like, don't give up when it gets hard, and remembering that your struggles don't outweigh your love for each other, even if it feels super heavy, because it gets hard. As parents, we can feel so stressed out and sometimes resentful towards our partner for being incarcerated or angry about it. But I think just finding what works for your family and prioritizing staying connected and remembering that it's you two against the problem and never against each other, and just staying strong through that. I think anyone can make it through any time of incarceration with their spouse.
I agree. This whole experience has reshaped or shaped your life goals personally for you. Can you walk us through a little bit about how this has shaped you and how it has led you to go back to school?
Yeah, so I didn't really go to school when I was younger.
Yeah, fair.
I wasn't the model teenager, but I always had the desire that I wanted to go back to school. And I remember probably 2 years before he got arrested this time, I kept thinking about it. I was like, I want to go back to school. I just don't know what I want to do. And when I was younger, I wanted to do something in criminal justice. I just didn't know what. I remember one time I was like, I'm going to be border patrol. And then one time I told my husband, I was like, I think I'm going to be a cop. I wanted to do something criminal justice. And then when my husband got arrested, it really weighed on me a lot. And I was like, I need to go back to school because I want to do something with legislation. I want to help make changes. I want to fight for people because my husband could have gotten a lot more help when he was in prison last time. But unfortunately, because his custody level, those resources weren't available. And I was just like, it's not fair to people that they struggle because of what society or the justice system is trying to say they are when they're struggling. So I was like, I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to go to law school. And so I went to school. I got my associate's degree. I was really scared for that because I was working full time. I was raising our daughter. She was in school. And I just was like, okay, I need to go to school. And so I did that. And it got really challenging doing both of those full time. And so then I found like a job at the college and I made it work. And I got my associate's degree and I did a really amazing job. through my associate's program, and it was amazing. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go get my bachelor's, and I applied, and I'll have my bachelor's in March.
Wow.
And I actually just applied to law school. So it's definitely shaped my goals in different ways. It's helped me be really passionate about legislation. I was just a part of a committee to help make phone calls free in our state. I'm trying to help figure out different laws to get passed for people to be able to come home and have more rehabilitation resources. I'm working on an art show right now for people incarcerated. That'll be next year.
Wow.
Just doing a lot of programs. I'm trying to get a program into a couple jails right now that'll give resources to people incarcerated. So it just really made me have a passion and have a lot of goals that I didn't know that I had.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's been a really good experience.
Could you imagine telling your younger self that you're doing all this stuff now? It's incredible.
No, honestly, no. Yeah, because I was such a bad kid in my teenage years that I had people tell me that I was never going to be anything. I was just never going to make it. And that stuck with me for a really long time. So I really didn't think I was ever going to. And then now being in this situation, having professionals want to talk to me and understand about incarceration or want to partner with me to try to get a program inside a county jail or whatever it may be, or to have my old community college want to partner with me to do an art show to talk about trauma.
Wow.
It's been really cool and eye-opening. And then one day I want to have a nonprofit and help people incarcerated. My husband and I really want to do that. So yeah, it's been a really beautiful experience through this.
For sure. And how has it felt being a mother? You're doing all this stuff. You're also a mom. You're alone during this incarceration, trying to take care of the home and your daughter.
Yeah.
And you're pursuing your goals. It must feel so like you're showing your daughter what you can do, the power of it.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I feel like I'm definitely showing her how to turn a sad situation into something good.
Yeah.
But it's also stressful too. It's exhausting. I'm not going to lie. It's not easy, especially if you don't have any outside support. It gets really hard. But I think I show my daughter perseverance and how to have strength and how to chase your goals and not have excuses.
Yeah. It's always like people want to get to the success line and they don't realize, my husband says it all the time, you don't realize the amount of work that you have to put in to get there.
Yeah, it's a lot of work. Yeah, that's why I always tell moms, I'm like, don't give up because you can make it work. You know what I mean? You just gotta have that strength and that mental drive to push through it. And I've even told people, like, if you have to work part-time and go to school part-time, do it. Or if you have to take one class every quarter and it takes you 5 years to get that associate's degree, do it. Because either way, 5 years is going to pass.
Exactly. You're right. That's exactly it. What would you tell someone who grew up in a similar circumstance to you?
I would honestly tell people just to not let the circumstances shape you as a person in a negative way, because one day it's going to help people. You know, like one day someone's going to see where you came from. And because I feel like sometimes we hear people and we hear their inspiring story and we're like, wow, and they had such an amazing life though growing up. But I feel like when you can hear someone that, you know, had a similar upbringing to you, you can see that it's possible. So don't ever think that it can't be you, because it can. You just got to utilize your resources, utilize your connections, you ask people questions so you can make it happen.
And a lot of the things I think that you went through growing up are helping you now because you have that resilience that you had to go through when you were younger. Incredible.
Yeah, definitely.
So you touched a little bit on your future goals. How does it align with helping your husband?
I want to pass a legislative law that can help with rehabilitation and helping to get that time off of someone's sentence can definitely help. And there's other laws that I want to be able to pass too that I'm in the works of understanding what we could do to help people get time off their sentences. So that will also be able to help my husband come home.
For sure. My husband always says when I'll feel down or whatever, he'll always say, you don't understand the impact that you're having on the community because you don't always see it right away. And I think that you're a better example of the impact that you must be having on so many people in your community, because you're touching not only people that are incarcerated, but you're touching medical professionals and schools and children. And there's so many things that you have brought and included in a positive way, that your impact must be like tenfold, like insane.
I hope so.
Oh,
I really hope so, because we're on TikTok and stuff, and I've had
yeah.
some wives message me and tell me that. But it's like when I wrote in my law school admission letter, I just don't want another family or another spouse to sit in a courtroom and feel the way that I felt that day. It makes me emotional because it's such a painful feeling when you sit in a courtroom and you watch the love of your life get sentenced like that, and you're with your daughter. And I just hope that our story can help someone else be like, okay, my husband can still be a dad. My husband can change, you know what I mean? Or I can go back to school, or I can do this, or just anything. Even with everything we're doing, we're always trying to help people, whether it's dropping off a bunch of clothes to somebody who's in treatment, or helping connect somebody to someone I know who can get them a job, even though they're a felon. Our whole purpose is that we just want to be able to help someone. We love helping people, and we want to be able to have our story help someone make a different choice to avoid maybe the choices that can lead them back to incarceration.
Exactly. Exactly. Wow. So cool. The last question that I think is probably one of the most important questions, and I love these questions because one day your husband might hear this, and if he were here sitting next to you, what do you want to tell people about him, not only as a father but as a person? Because he sounds incredible and you've done a great job, but I want you to have this moment to just speak on about him a little bit more and tell us why he's so much more than just someone incarcerated.
I don't feel like there would ever be enough time to explain the type of man he is, but there is just so much that, sorry, it makes me emotional because my husband's healed me in a lot of ways that nobody will ever understand. And that's why when people get judgmental of staying with someone incarcerated, especially the second time, nobody knows my marriage with my husband, and nobody knows what my husband saved me from. And just growing up in such an abusive household and never having love from my parents, my husband gave me all of that. My husband gave me the love that I always wanted as a child. And watching him love our daughter and love me, he's a lot more than his charges. He's a lot more than a docket number or a DOC number or anything. He is the most amazing human that I know and that I would ever know. He's the love of my life. And there's not words, I feel like, that could describe what he has done for me. He's honestly saved my life and given me a purpose. Because being such a bad teenager, I really do believe that my husband saved me from a lifestyle that I could have easily found myself in because of the types of people I was hanging around.
Yeah. Wow. You guys are incredible. I feel so blessed to have been able to interview you, and I mean that sincerely. Well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah, thank you.
I don't have children, and I feel like you've impacted me. So thank you so much. I wish you guys the best of luck. Cara Julia. Bye.
Bye.